good evening to all of you and to our chief guest, Mr. Mustafa. First of all, let me congratulate all of you for joining the Right Institute, the best management school in India. So you made the right choice and now enjoy your 2 years here. So welcome. Of course, while I think both Manaswini and Kunal have already told you a lot of positive things, I also have to give you a few cautions. So I hope you won't mind that as we go along. The first point I wanted to mention today is about what kind of skills or what kind of orientation you need to develop during your 2 years here. Obviously, you're all academically very gifted, otherwise you would not have reached this point. Almost all of you also almost certainly have strong analytical skills, otherwise you wouldn't have got through CAT, so I can assume that as well. So those are not the skills that you want to lose, but certainly those may not be the skills that you have to work on the most. I'm talking about all of this because the context in which you will be graduating is a little different from what students have been graduating, the context they've been graduating in over the years. We are increasingly looking at a world which is driven by technology. Artificial intelligence, as you know, is a big buzzword and it's playing an increasingly significant role. So what is it that human beings and individuals bring to the table? If AI is going to run everything, and if you're going to have largely automated systems, what is going to be the human contribution? And most people who are studying this believe that the main human contribution will be in terms of creativity, of course, but will also be in terms of bringing the very, very specific human qualities which we have and machines don't have to the table. So what does this mean? This means a lot of things which traditionally might be somewhat soft and gooey, things like courtesy, care, empathy, the way you behave with other people. All of these are going to be very important because that's really what, in my mind at least, is going to differentiate all of us as human beings from the machines that are increasingly running the world. So just to put this in more practical terms, what I am urging all of you to do is just, be your normal self, be friendly, please reach out and take care of all of your colleagues. Please be nice to the staff, faculty, everyone who runs this great institute. And please treasure that because as you go forward into your jobs, I think those human qualities and characteristics are really going to be what makes a difference. If I can just add on a little bit to that, I really believe that soft skills are really what differentiates successful managers from others. There's an interesting thing that happens usually when students come into an MBA program, particularly those of you who have limited experience or no work experience. You tend to look at the courses in human resource management and organizational behavior and those that talk about interpersonal behavior and so on with a bit of skepticism. I mean, it's not surprising because some of you may not have had significant interactions in the workplace. But let me assure you that when people come back after 20 years or 25 years, when they come back for their alumni reunions, without fail, almost all of them tell us, we really wish we had paid more attention to the people side of things when we were students, because ultimately that's what made a difference in our careers. So I'm just putting this before you to suggest that please pay enough attention to those subjects. And just remember, when you go into your early career as an MBA graduate from an institute like IMB, you will be in a situation where you're trying to change things, you're trying to influence things, but you don't have the authority to do so. You're obviously not going to join a company as a CEO. You're going to be joining as a first-time manager in many cases. And yet you would want to influence people to do things the way you think they should be done. So how are you going to do that unless you really understand people and what moves them and how you can influence them and so on? So I urge you to pay enough attention to those issues. I would also urge you to pay attention to another thing. There is, I'm told, and repeatedly told by students at our institute, that there's much more to learning than what is learned in the classroom. And I agree with them. Of course, what they are probably talking about is what happens in the hostel, which I'm sure is an important part of learning. But I think there are other aspects as well. There are lots of guest talks. For example, today you're going to hear some of the awardees of our Distinguished Alumni Award, people who have done extremely well in their careers. You're going to listen to Mustafa, who is excelled as an entrepreneur. And there are many such visitors who come to IIM almost throughout the year. I'm really hoping that more of you will take interest in those talks. You will try to interact more with all these guests because there's a real wealth of stuff you can learn from all of them if only you can connect and reach out to them. And another thing which some of you might have heard, but I think there's a lot of truth in it, is that apart from what you learn in the curriculum, another really important takeaway from a place like IMB is the quality of your network. One part of that network is, of course, all of you sitting here, all your friends. Of course, I suspect not all of you will get to know everyone else in the 600 plus students we have, but you will get to know a sizable number. But there are broader networking opportunities as well. There are so many visitors, guests, entrepreneurs, there are startups in our incubator, so many people you can connect with, and people outside are just dying for the chance to connect with all those people. You're privileged. I think when you're privileged, you tend to take things for granted, but I would again urge you to use this opportunity of the 2 years you're here to reach out, know a lot more new people, connect to them. If you don't like the word networking, throw it away. Just say, I want to build better human connections, but please do that when you're here in the institute. Just a fourth point I want to make is on the future you will face after you leave the institute. I already spoke about one dimension of that, which is AI and technology. The other dimension of that is the great opportunity you will have to take on major challenges. I think we all agree that India is on the cusp of a period of very significant growth. But not only is it a matter of growth, we also know that there are significant challenges we have within the country, whether it be in enhancing economic prosperity, reducing inequality, and many of these, of course, have also got underlined by what we've seen in the recent elections. So I'm just wondering, why don't at least some of you please look at a broader perspective. I'm sure all of you will do extremely well after you graduate. I'm sure you will all have wonderful jobs, but I hope some of you at least will take up the challenges of going well beyond what routine jobs can do and make a broader contribution to any big problem that India is facing today. We're going to hear our distinguished alumni awardees in a little bit, and you're going to hear people like Mr. Koshi, who is the architect of ONDC, which is a major experiment that India is spearheading. We have seen others like that, like UPI, Aadhaar, etc. These are all the real innovations and the changes that are changing India. So one thing I'm hoping for is that out of all of you, out of the 600 plus of you, there will be at least a few of you who will tread a different path, who will take on some of those really big challenges and have huge impact on the country besides making yourselves and your families proud. And of course, there's the other track, which Mustafa represents very well, which is the track of entrepreneurship. There are so many startups with which IMB alums have been involved with. For example, you might know that we've had some of our alums have been part of the founding team at Big Basket, Delivery, Lenskart, Amagi, and so on. And of course, ID Foods is represented right here on the stage. So there's another great opportunity. You don't have to only chase all those big jobs. You could also chase your dreams by becoming an entrepreneur. And once again, I'm hoping that at least some proportion of you will take up that challenge and run with it. Okay, I'm almost at the end. Let me come to the last part. This is the admonition part. And I have to do it because it's part of my job and it's also important for all of you. I just want to emphasize that please be familiar with all the rules of the institute, the academic rules, hostel rules, everything else that's in place. Ignorance of the rules is never an excuse. So please make sure that you're conversant with all the rules. We're trying to keep the rules to a minimum, but whatever there is, please make sure you are conversant with them. There are a few things we have absolutely no tolerance for. So please keep track of these and make sure you don't fall on the wrong side of these. The first one is discrimination or harassment of any kind, whether it be on the basis of gender, religion, caste, sexual orientation, whatever, any dimension you take, please make sure that you are not doing anything which can in the remotest way be classified as discrimination or harassment. And in the normal course, I'm sure you won't do it, but please make sure that even inadvertently you don't do so. And last but not the least, please make sure you maintain the highest standards of integrity. We will not hesitate to ask you to leave the institute if you are found adopting any form of illegal means in any of the evaluations or in any other context in which you are being assessed. So once again, you guys have all come from top institutions. I'm sure you're all familiar with what's right and what's wrong. And if you're not sure, please ask. For example, there could be some discussion and debate about whether ChatGPT or some similar tool can be used for an assignment. Please check with the professor. Don't get into trouble, because finally, if it lands up on my desk, I can assure you that unfortunately, that's one issue in which I will not be able to intervene on your behalf. So these are just a few things you might like to keep in mind. But coming back to the more pleasant side of things, once again, I'm really delighted to see all of you here. It's always wonderful to see you looking all so bright and happy on the first day. I'm sure you will have a wonderful stay during your 2 years here at IMB. And we are really looking forward to all the wonderful things that you will do, both in academically and otherwise. And of course, we will be wishing and praying for your successful careers once you complete the program here. So once again, best wishes. Thank you.